Hey everybody, welcome back to Chortle Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Jake, and with me as always, the Stream King, the King of Thieves, L'Assassin, and the Watchdog, Steven. What's up, buddy?
Have you used the Watchdog before?
I feel like I have, but I don't know. But it's relevant because the last forward compatible that we did was Watchdogs. The first one, the very first Watchdogs.
We're still doing it.
We're still doing it. The review's coming. It was a long game.
It was a long game, and it's a game that has a lot of
baggage,
layers to my thoughts. It's got a lot of baggage. I may or may not be creating a demo wheel of controversy to be used in the review. Maybe it'll make it, maybe it won't. We'll see.
We'll see. There's lots of stuff happening, and there's lots of stuff to talk about in this episode of Chortle Cast, the official podcast of Chortle Games, where we talk about video games, TV shows, movies, anime, whatever the heck we want to talk about. We've got a great show for you this week. We're going to talk about the Cyberpunk Night City Wire episode 2. Talk about some of the stuff they did there. We're going to talk about the Control live stream, the AWE DLC live stream that they did. We're going to talk about the Avatar Last Airbender creators leaving the new Netflix series. And we're going to talk about Fortnite versus Apple, or Epic versus Apple. The Epic Showdown, the Fortnite Showdown. Anyway, we've got a lot to get over and a lot to discuss. So we're going to jump right into it. And then at the end, Steven is going to tell us about what he's been playing, because I have not had time to play anything right now. I've been very busy catching up with weddings. So, Steven, what games have you been playing? What are you going to talk about? Give us a little teaser.
Pillars of Eternity 2. A little bit of Gunfire Reborn. Marvel's Avengers Beta. I got a haircut.
All of these and more, Steven we'll talk about it. Catch up later. I don't know why this
haircut reveal at the end of the podcast.
Wow.
So stick around. I've got my hat on right now.
Okay, hat on right now, so we'll get a haircut reveal later. I got it.
Yeah. No, that wasn't me saying, Jake, you need to put something over my head in post.
My brain, I was like, how am I going to
actually have
hide
a hat. Yeah.
So I don't know why my brain went to this, but did you see that Fall Guys added a Into the Gungeon outfit?
I didn't see that. I saw other outfits. I can't remember what they were, but like they've been getting a lot of
There's
them.
a Hotline Miami. Who's the chicken guy?
I don't remember what his name is, but
anyway,
yeah,
that guy is that. There was something else. There was another one of their games. I forget what it is. Something with patrols. Anyway, but yeah, they just added an Enter the Gungeon one. It's, the little bullet guys that run around. Just
I figured it'd be the bullet. Yeah,
it's one of those. So they said when they added the bullet, they were having a lot of, they made it sound like they were having glitches, but it also could just be there was an influx of wins. And like, it was unclear to me if it was a glitch that people were winning, or if they were just like, the bullet outfit's out there now and we're seeing people win more. So I don't know. I don't know what that means, but whatever. Anyway,
people win more with the bullets.
I think that's what the post was. Look, Steven, I'm just going to be honest. I'm not really, I like to think that I'm clever, but when I'm reading other people's posts on social media, I'm the old guy that has to be like, what does this mean? And like show Lee Allison or someone and have them explain it to me.
That must be what they meant, because you can't just say that ever since we released this, people in general have been winning more, because there's always a winner. It literally has to end with someone winning.
Does it though?
The number of winners cannot change.
What if they all lose? They could all lose. Have you done the slime climb? It's very difficult.
Yeah, but at that point, last man standing just wins, right?
It's a great question. I've never made it that far, so I don't know how that works. Speaking of things that I don't know how it works, let's talk about. I know how Cyberpunk works. Actually, I don't, because it's not out yet. Cyberpunk. Let's talk about Cyberpunk. I'm trying to get us.
You gotta think about your segues. You know what else I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about Cyberpunk 2077.
That's good. That's good. Speaking of thinking, let's think about Cyberpunk together.
Shut up.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Night City Wire episode 2 happened earlier this week. In fact, I think it was Monday. It was August 10th, whenever that was. This
sounds right.
Of course, Cyberpunk has done 2 of these now in episode 2, but this was kind of a, E3 got canceled, and everybody was like, you know what? Instead of cramming all our news into 4 days, let's just spread all of our news out across like 5 months. Why not? So I feel like what they talked about here and what they talked about in the other one could have easily been one showcase that happened at. Maybe not even. It could have just been what happened across E3. Like PlayStation maybe showed this one, and Xbox maybe showed that one. So anyway. Not to get into more semantics there, but basically some of the things they did, they opened with a demonstration of the 3 different starting paths, and so Cyberpunk 2077 being a RPG, and they're really trying to get to, because it's based off a tabletop game, right? And so they're really trying to hone in on this idea of you're creating this character, and like you're gonna have you're gonna have the power of choice over what motivates you and how you interact with the world. And so there are 3 life paths that you can start with. And I don't know why I counted to 3. Like I made like the Spider-Man web signal to signify 3. What's wrong with me? I don't know. Anyway, I'm sorry. 3. Steven, how do you, when you're signifying with your hands, how do you show 3? What fingers?
I don't do it that way. I'll tell you that.
I'm holding up my pointer finger, my bird finger, and my thumb to signify 3.
Usually it's, I don't do it with those. I usually do it with the middle 3 fingers if I'm counting from 1 to 3.
I can't.
But if I'm just doing 3, I do pinky, ring finger, middle finger. Like if
an okay.
Someone's like, how many people? Like an okay, but with a different point of view. If someone's like, hey, how many brothers how many boys are in your family or whatever, I'm just like 3. You know?
This is a real,
that's not true anymore. It's 5 now, but
this is a real off the cuff thing, but I want us to do this because I think it's hilarious how I count to 5. Steven, I want us together to count to 5. This is a huge tangent, and I apologize. I want us to count to 5, but while we're counting, I want you with your hand to count to 5. Okay? Are you ready? 1.
Okay.
Are you ready?
1.
Okay. No.
Yeah, okay.
Here we go.
Okay.
1.
Okay.
2.
1.
3.
2.
4.
3. 4.
5.
5.
There you go. Okay. Everyone's going to laugh because I guarantee you we did that differently, but I don't know. Whatever. Anyway. Okay. I'm sorry.
I promise you we did it differently. I skewed that whole experiment, let me tell you.
There were 3 life paths in Cyberpunk. Okay. The first one is, I think it's called Street Kid. And so you're a kid that grew up on the streets of Night City, which is the main area for Cyberpunk. And so with this life path, you're like, you know the streets, right? So you know all the gangs. You're I don't know if you're in a gang, but like you know the streets. You're gonna know people on the streets. You're gonna know gangs. You're gonna know fixers.
Yeah, you're probably involved to where like you're around all of that, but you're just someone who very much looks out for themselves. Like there's, if I can interject here, please. I didn't see most of the Night City Wire, but Guild Wars 2 did this in 2012. And I'm not saying Cyberpunk stole it from Guild Wars, but this is a mechanic that Guild Wars did that worked really well early game. And it was actually the same choices. If you chose a human character, you were either a street urchin, you were like common folk, or you were like upper class, like nobility.
Gotcha. Which leads me to the next life path, which is a corpo, I think is what they call it, a corpo. So a corporate operative. I don't know, corporate scum. I don't know what that doesn't sound right. We're gonna talk about corporate scum later. A corpo. So basically, you're someone that works for a corporation in Night City, and so you're with higher up people. Business suits. You work for someone in a corporation, and you're basically their fixer. So you just do all the dirty work for them. And the way it looked in the trailer, it seems like you're going to be dissatisfied with your employer and are potentially going to turn against them or leave or do something. I don't know. And then the last one, which is my personal favorite and will probably be my first playthrough choice, depending on, and I don't know that I'm going to do a second playthrough, but the Nomad. And the Nomad is someone who lives outside of Night City in this place called the Badlands. And the way they talked about it, it's very much just like you're a family man, like your family is the most important thing to you out there, like you're just out in the open, you're in the wild, but something about your family is gone or your family is broken. And so you're going to Night City for something. It's still kind of unclear. So anyway, I thought that was I'm really, really excited about that one. So they showed off those. Then they showed off, they've got a lot of music that was made for the game. And so they had this band who was doing all the music for, Johnny Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand apparently has a band called called Samurai, which is why you've got the samurai jacket and all that. I that's the first I had heard that he was a singer, and maybe I just missed that, but whatever, it's cool. So they showed the band that is going to have their music. They had talked about how like some of those tracks are on Spotify right now. You can go listen to them now. All that good stuff.
There are 3 of them. They're pretty good.
Yeah, have you listened to them?
I have. It's not music that I would like jam out to just in my everyday kind of stuff, but it's music that I'm excited to play a game to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I thought it sounded great, but it's just not, it wasn't my style of music, so I didn't just go out and was like, I got to get this, but yeah, so they showed that kind of a documentary type thing about that process and what it's like, and that was really cool. But then they showed off some of the different types of weapons that we're going to get to play with. And so there were a couple different types. There was like power weapons. There were smart weapons. And
then tech weapons.
And then they showed...
It was just those 3.
It was those 3 weapon styles. And then there was melee weapons and then augments that you could have for your body.
Augments.
So... Number one, I want to interject here and said I'm very excited about melee weapons. They showed a thermal katana that I'm very, very excited about. I'm hoping and assuming there will be other melee options. Not that I'm not pumped about a thermal katana, but I would love to have some other options there. But I'm also really excited about the augments because they had the mantis blades, which we've seen before.
I feel like you're going to be like, so like the minute you can get the mantis blades, that's going to be your response to everything. Like someone's going to come up to you on the street, like trying to sell you bread. And you're just going to be like, mantis blades. Like you're just going to be like, what?
Excuse me, sir. The arcade slice my bread. No problem, kid. Cut his head off. now you don't. Problem's
going to be you.
I'm the fixer. Just call me the fixer. They showed the mantis blades. They showed the gorilla arms, which a lot of this we have seen in other demos, but they kind of just like highlighted what you can have. There was also some sort of like cannon you could put out of your wrist to shoot stuff.
You know I'm fitting to put a wrist cannon on my character.
Look,
shoot, every argument with that. You got the wrist blades, I get the wrist cannon. Like.
There you go. I'll pop out the blade. Steven will be back there, like ready to go. Like, you want to tussle? Let's go. Let's do this. Yeah. So it was really cool. The thing I'm most excited about was what they showed there of the weapons. They had the tracking bullets, which I think was the smart weapons.
That was the smart weapons.
That could do that. The power weapons, if I remember right, were the closest to like traditional weapons.
Yeah, those are just ballistic weapons that use like actual like ammo, bullets, like ballistic bullets.
Do you remember what the difference, what was the tech weapons?
Tech weapons were kind of like mag weapons, to where they use magnets and electricity and whatnot to fire a large projectile or shot forward. So they could like shoot through cover and stuff.
Right.
I think
that's right. Yeah.
They looked really cool to me. I may actually end up running a lot of tech weapons.
Yeah. What I would love to do, and again, it really depends on what my options are going to be for melee and for augments. I would love to do a melee only character and have a katana, have my mantis blades, and I'd love it if I could have the gorilla arms and mantis blades. I don't know if that's going to be possible, but
what do the gorilla arms do again?
Basically, you're just super strong. They're just super strong. So like in the demo, I think they showed him like punching somebody and like punching through a wall or something. In previous gameplay demos that we've seen, where they showed like, you know, you can be somebody who just runs and guns, or you can be a stealth hacker type of person.
Right.
The person who they didn't just outright say this, but the person who was running and gunning, the other person hacked through a door. The run and gun guy just ripped the door off the wall, and that was, I'm assuming, someone who had gorilla arms. So while I will definitely be playing more of these stealth, maybe potentially non-lethal hack around situations, talk my way out of situations type character, I would love it if when things go south, I just had gorilla arms. But, you know.
See, that's my thing. Like, I feel like if you're going to play a melee character, the mantis blades are almost the wrong choice, because they seem kind of like you're backed into a corner, last ditch effort kind of thing. But if you already have a good sword that you lean on primarily, then why wouldn't you go gorilla if you have to choose one or the other? Because and that's, I think, having something that you already use.
That's what I've got to, I've got to get all the details in front of me, right? If I can only pick one, I'm probably going to pick gorilla arms, because I'm going to have a katana. That's just a given.
Right.
Exactly. I'll back this up. I'll back that up. Unless they add a bow. Steven, if there is a bow, that will be my main weapon. And then I'll have mantis blades. Gosh,
can you imagine if they like made a Yondu bow that was like a smart weapon or something, where you could shoot the arrow and then it just finds all the targets? That'd be crazy.
Cyberpunk. But, somebody cyberpunk right now and get this happening.
Just video game companies, hire me. Take my ideas. I have so many good ideas. You know how much time I waste in my life just thinking about useless, cool crap? Like, seriously,
we'll come up with the ideas.
I will accept compensation as a consult.
There you go.
I await your call. But I honestly hope that augments are. I think Damon Ex Machina did this, and that's a really weird example.
No, that totally makes sense.
Well, specifically with how you could only have one of each category. Like, I don't think it would. I think it'd be dumb if you could just be like, okay, what's on the menu? Well, I'll have one of everything. Okay, I've got mantis blades, gorilla arms, and I have a cannon. Like, that just seems like, and if they do that, then I really hope that there is some kind of drawback to augmentation. Because at that point, why wouldn't you augment if you didn't move slower or you were not as stealthy or something? I still, though, I hope that you get one out of each category. Yeah. Like, one set of arms, one set of leg augments, and one set of eye augments, something like that. That just is more interesting to me, because then it's like my choice actually means something.
Right.
I hope it's both and, honestly, to where there's a cost to each augment and you only get one of each category.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, if I want to play just a complete meatbag character that has no metal whatsoever, I want to have justification in making that choice.
I imagine it's going to be as you've described, but I just want to be a mantis blade, gorilla armed, katana wielding, wrist cannon popping hacker guy that talks his way out of situations.
All of those things that you just described are completely useless in the situations that you'll be getting yourself into. You're just back there, you're hacking on a job, and someone's like, "You sure you're up for this?" And you're just like, "Of course I am. I've got mantis blades, gorilla arms, and I've got a wrist cannon. You think I can't hack this computer?"
I mean, literally, yeah, that's what I'm gonna be like.
And I'm a great talker, but also I have mantis blades.
I'm gonna jack up charisma and coolness is one of the things too. Like, I want to be able to talk my way out of situations. That was when I played Witcher. That was how I like to play it. I liked to I forget which sign it is, but there's a sign that lets you like basically Jedi mind trick people. I made sure I had that leveled up to the max. Early on, because that's my easiest non-violent get out of a situation thing.
I honestly thought that you would be more of like you'd be more itching to do like a stealth character that doesn't do charisma as much as they do like assassinations and stealth kind of gameplay. I would have thought that that's what you would do.
I'm probably it depends. It depends on how much I can do.
How much those stats? Yeah, like if it's a Skyrim situation or something else.
Exactly. If I'm interacting with people, I would like to non-violently talk my way through the situation. I really like that. This sounds so weird, but I really like that kind of gameplay choice. Where like,
oh, I love that gameplay. That's all I did in Outer Worlds.
Where if you can work it, or if you can work the system right, you can just completely verbally get through situations. You know, if I'm not talking, if I'm having to achieve a goal, I'm going to be stealthy and assassinate or do something else. So I can't decide if I want to do a non-lethal run or not, because again, I want to use the Mantis Blades. But here we are.
For games like that, I usually just go with the whole I'm going to play this as I would play these situations. Like I role play myself, and then if I like the game enough, I
might go back.
I'll go back and be like, I'll do like this is like Outer Worlds, for example. This isn't something I would do in Outer Worlds, but it's a great example for like different play styles. If your intelligence is low enough, like you can make your character have access to dialogue if you're stupid enough. So you can like have your intelligence so low that you have the idiot options. So yeah, something like that is what you could do if you revisit Outer Worlds.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
also fun fact real quick before we go to the next thing.
Yes.
I learned in a Disney theme park video that I was watching with Anna just last night that there was a Seven Dwarves game being developed by Obsidian at one point in time.
What?
The people who did, yeah, this is a real thing. The people that did Fallout New Vegas, Pillars of Eternity, Grounded, and Outer Worlds. Seven Dwarves.
Do we have any
as in
idea,
the Snow White Seven Dwarves?
Do we have any idea what that looked like?
None whatsoever. It was scrapped. I will try to find information and get back to you.
Well, speaking of things getting scrapped, nah, whatever. Let's talk about Control. I don't know. Speaking of how we control our characters in Cyberpunk, let's talk about Control. I saved it. Steven, there's a big AWE DLC expansion for Control coming out later this month. There was a live stream this week talking about some of what we can expect. Steven being the resident Remedy hotshot. We talked a little bit about this last week too. How was the live stream? Are you still excited about the DLC?
I'm torn.
Ooh.
Because I'm so excited for the DLC that it's making me feel like I need to play Control, which means I have to be around Jesse Faden again. And that's where I'm torn.
It's not that bad. It's not that bad. I've done it. It
is pretty bad if you've played other Remedy games. And I think I've decided that's my big hang up, is that it's like if you played Alan Wake or Max Payne or Quantum Break or whatever, if you played through them, especially Alan Wake, and then you tried playing through Control, I feel like, were you trying to get my attention, or was that an actual cough?
I muted my mic to cough.
Sounded
and
like
the longer I was like, he's gonna think I'm signaling something, so I apologize.
It really sounded like you were like.
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm great. Thank you for checking on me. I've got my limoncello LaCroix, so I'm fine. You know what I mean?
So if you played through Alan Wake and then went to play Control, this is what happened to me. Because I think I started playing Control while I was playing Alan Wake for forward compatible. It was just like, did the same people write these characters? Because one of them is so much better than the other one.
Right.
But that's anyway, and I'll probably mention that again in a second because I noticed something in the live stream. So the AWE live stream basically was them announcing an update to the game that was free for everybody, and it includes a difficulty like modifier to where you can change pretty much everything about the game to make it as easy as you want it to be. You could literally turn off death if you want to. You can make it to where your abilities recharge super quick.
Can you make it where you just respawn where you were?
I don't think so, but you can just make it to where you literally can't die. So,
well, I don't care about dying. It's falling that I have problems with. I'll be trying to get somewhere and I'll trip and I'll fall into a freaking void, and then I'll teleport to whatever control point I had just found that's miles away from where I'm trying to get. I digress. I could go on. Please continue.
I'm sorry. So we may need to add a news story because I did find details on the Obsidian Seven Dwarfs game. Anyway, so the expansion live stream, a lot of good information. They had Sam Lake there, and the director of Control. I forget what his name was, but Sam Lake is like the creative director, I think, and he's also like the writer of all of the Remedy games. Fantastic guy. So they also showed the first 12 minutes of gameplay.
Oh wow!
For AWE. And basically, you know, the motel.
Yep.
The door with the spiral on it. That is where Alan Wake is.
Interesting.
And so, and I watched it once. I didn't rewatch it, so I'm just remembering this off of just pure memory. But in this DLC, you're going to be investigating what happened in Bright Falls, which is what the story in Alan Wake was. Alan is around, like he's talking to you the same way Trench did. To where like it would be an overlay of him like talking. And I think I texted you guys while I was watching. I was like, Jesse is still as annoying as ever, but man, it feels good to have Alan back and talking, because it's the same. Because with Alan Wake, they got a different kind of motion capture, and a different like body model than the person who voices him. Those are two different people,
right? And
they got both of them back.
Oh wow!
And so it's Alan Wake in his truest form, and he is writing while you're playing through the game. He's got those monologues, and you can see him at the typewriter and everything. But he mentions Dr. Hartman. As if he was like doing exposition of like narrating Dr. Hartman in a book. Dr. Hartman was one of the villains in Alan Wake. And so I was surprised to see that he was involved, because he seemed like he was kind of used up already, like there wasn't much left for him. So that was interesting. But they also found a collectible that features a man named Alex Casey. And how he's like requesting all the files on the Bright Falls Altered World event. Alex Casey is the main character of Alan Wake's books that he wrote in the world of Alan Wake, which means my brother and I are speculating that Alan has been trapped in the darkness this whole time. But the last line of Alan Wake was, "It's not a lake, it's an ocean." A lot of people are wondering what that means. Basically, Alan ended the game trapped in the darkness, which the darkness, its heart, basically where it resided was Cauldron Lake in Bright Falls, which is why all the weird stuff was happening. So the line, "It's not a lake, it's an ocean," could mean two things. One, Alan typing that was him altering reality, making it to where he was changing the fact that Cauldron Lake was a lake and making it to where Cauldron Lake actually connected to the broader world, which would mean if Alan is connected to the darkness, his influence goes everywhere. Hence the whole, "It's not a lake, it's an ocean." This reach goes further than you know. But the second meaning of that is also Alan may have just unleashed the darkness on the world. So that could be bad.
Mm-hmm.
Probably is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the interesting implication of that, though, is that if Alex Casey is at the FBC trying to get all the files on the Bright Falls incident or whatever, that means that one, Alan created him,
Mm-hmm.
but two, Alan might be acting through a human being that he literally created into existence, so that he could still act in the real world while trapped in the darkness.
Interesting.
And so I just thought that was super cool.
Uh-huh.
The darkness is back. It is somehow connected to the FBC now. Like you have to use light, just like in Alan Wake, to burn off the darkness that finds its way into the oldest house.
Mm-hmm.
There was one part that, and this is what I was talking about with Jesse annoying me as a character. There was one part where you get close to this big piece of darkness or whatever. Like I didn't understand what it was exactly, but Jesse started to get hurt by it. And she was like, the darkness is draining me somehow. And it was just like, okay, like if this was any other Remedy character,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I love about Alan Wake so much. The way they would have handled that situation is that Alan would have walked past the thing and he would have like grabbed his head or something and like made a grunt, or he would have like coughed or something, and his health bar would have gone down. And then his narrative voice would have said in that like typewriter
Mm-hmm.
writing kind of way, it would have been like, I couldn't tell what was happening. It was almost like the darkness was draining my energy or something. Like it would have been a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And so with Jessie, it's like she just speaks every thought that enters her mind. And it's annoying. But I'm really hoping that somehow, because they said this is their first, they said specifically, Sam Lake said, we're creating a Remedy connected universe,
Mm-hmm.
which is something we speculated. But for them to say like, no, this is what we're doing.
Right.
That's pretty cool. And he said this is the first crossover event. So I'm hoping somehow that Alan Wake escapes the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I legitimately hope that Jesse takes his place, because she doesn't really have anything else to offer. Because like her story's kind of done as far as I understand. She's basically just a vehicle for us at this point. But Remedy games don't need that.
Control yet, have you?
No, but I've talked with my brother who has beaten Control, and he hasn't told me what happens, but like he shares that sentiment of Jesse's story kind of being done. And so I'm hoping that
I disagree.
somehow she just,
I know you don't like her, and I will admit she can be a little she doesn't seem as well written as Alan has been, but I think there's still more that could happen with her story. Like what happens with her brother is still a little ambiguous at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And then obviously she is the director by the end, and there's still a lot of stuff they're trying to figure out and put together. So
yeah,
I don't know how much it matters that she's the one doing it or not, but there is more she can do.
It might matter just because Remedy doesn't really do sequels,
right?
Very much.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did Max Payne 2, and that's the only one I can think of, but they kind of move on from project to project, and that's 3 games, specifically like Alan Wake, Quantum Break, Control.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought is, I don't know if they do another Jesse game. I don't know if they do another game where we played as Alan even, but I'm hoping that we never have to play Jesse again. I would be fine if she's still the director, even though she makes no sense as the director of the FBC, in my opinion, because she's just super clueless. But like, even if she's the director and she just is a background role, she's a character that we know exists, and we just never have to play her again, I'm fine with that. I just really want us to move on beyond her and start getting, because Andrew said, like, I know Jesse's annoying, but like the world that they've built is so worth it.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was like, oh, I totally agree. But man, can you imagine if we had the best of both worlds? Because we know that they're capable of it. So like if we could just leave Jessie behind, or just somehow magically make her well written, like give us a character driven story in this world that has so much intrigue and just depth. That is is a game right there. That is that. Oh man, that's unstoppable if you can combine the things that Remedy does well. But all that being said, I'm getting in the weeds. AWE looks great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to purchase Control on PC. I think I can get it for like $30.
Right.
My hope is that I'll be more motivated since most of my single player games are on PC anyway, and the optimization will hopefully be better.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So I'm gonna try playing it again. Hopefully gonna get done with it. Probably not though, because AWE comes out, I think the 27th.
24th, I think. But let me look at my calendar.
But it's next week.
So is
when it comes out.
The 27th. You're right. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So next week.
Yeah. So that's a quick turnaround.
So it's still happening at the FBC. You're not going to.
Yeah, it's still happening in the oldest house.
Right.
As far as what they showed.
Gotcha.
Which is weird to me because I would love to kind of, as much as I love the oldest house, I would love to leave it and see and just go to Bright Falls again.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how that's going to connect.
Yeah.
Is my thing.
Yeah. I would like that as well. Mainly because I like the oldest house, but I get so lost so easily in Control.
Well, we will be in the oldest. I just remembered they added a new massive area called the investigation sector.
Right.
And that's the only new area we know about. It's, I think, 4 to 5 hours of campaign content.
Okay. All right. That's not bad.
But I think it's going to be a great expansion, but I think I need to ground my expectation a bit because I'm wanting an Alan Wake expansion. Oh gosh, that's so bright. But I think it's going to be more of a Control expansion that has Alan Wake features.
But maybe it'll lead us to something better and brighter. But speaking of grounding your expectations, get ready to ground some expectations into dust, because Avatar: The Last Airbender creators, I don't think I can say their name. Michael, oh yes I can. Michael and Brian have left the Netflix live action remake of Avatar: The Last Airbender. They've left the project. It's over.
Is it really grounding your expectation? Because you can expect something to be an absolute dumpster fire. So should we ground our expectations?
I'm just saying don't. Whatever. Yes, that makes sense.
I'm going to let my expectations fly high, Jake. They're going to go to the moon because I expect this to be the worst thing
since M. Night Shyamalan graced this series. So here's kind of the rundown of the story. Basically, Michael and Brian have left the project. They were working with Netflix to basically do a live action remake of the project. Basically, just to sum it up, Michael said, when Brian and I signed on the project in 2018, we were hired as executive producers and showrunners in a joint agreement for the series. Netflix said it was committed to honoring our vision for this retelling and supporting us on creating the series. And we expressed how excited we were for the opportunity to be at the helm. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. He continues saying, who knows? Netflix live action adaptation of Avatar has the potential to be good. It might turn out to be a show that many of you end up enjoying. But what I can be certain of is that whatever vision ends up on screen, it will not be what Brian and I had envisioned or intended to make. I know, right? So basically, Netflix had promised them support, had promised them, this is your vision. We're going to honor that. And obviously Netflix did not honor that. I'm sure they tried to, I'm sure whatever creative direction Netflix wanted to go is not where Brian and Michael wanted to take it. You would think that Brian and Michael, having also been a part of the M. Night Shyamalan disaster, you would think that they were probably steering away from some of the same mistakes that was made on M. Night Shyamalan's movie. And Netflix might have been, recreating some of those issues. I know one thing that came out later, and I don't have a write-up for this, but I think there was something about the diversity of the cast. And I want to say Brian and Michael were wanting a more diverse cast, and Netflix was trying to whitewash it a little bit, which is unfortunate. But basically, as someone who has seen the M. Night Shyamalan movie and is still shocked when I see clips from that movie at how bad it is, I do not have any high hopes for this. In fact, as you said, Stephen, I have hopes to the moon that this is going to be horrible. Now, am I going to watch it?
Not hopes, expectation.
My expectation is that it's going to be just a disaster. And I hate it. I hate it on so many levels because I wasn't excited for a live action remake. And I say this every time we talk about Avatar. I wish they would just do what's next after Korra.
Something new.
Or screw that.
Exactly.
Say Korra screwed everything up. Why would we go forward? Well, let's go back. Everybody loves Kyoshi. Why don't we do a Kyoshi series? Like, there is so much content in that world that we could. It is set up just like Doctor Who. You know what I mean? There's literally a reincarnation cycle in this show.
I do feel like Korra kind of jumped the shark way too much. Like it made it to where they can't really do what comes after Korra because they just made so many changes to the world. And so they kind of screwed themselves with that one.
They did.
But what comes before is totally possible.
So all that to say, I wasn't exactly excited about this series, but the other thing that I hate about this is, Avatar, and if you don't know this, Avatar is both Korra and Airbender are on Netflix right now. You can watch them. And it has been very, very popular. I mean, it has been a complete resurgence of popularity. So the momentum was building up maybe a little early, but just right. Like there has been a resurgence of interest in this show. And, potentially some new folks are seeing it for the first time and loving it and some of the messages that it has. So this had all the potential to maybe boost this series up. And I hate that Netflix saw that boost and didn't just listen to Brian and Michael. Like, I wish that boost would have told them, like, okay, we really have something here. We need to just help it along. We don't need to ruin this. But I don't know. Stephen, do you have any additional thoughts in that?
Wouldn't be surprised if in the coming weeks they canceled it altogether.
See, and we talked.
What's the point?
Yeah.
I don't know. Because if they left, it was probably in either casting or writing. They have not dumped much money into this.
Yeah.
So why like if they know what's good for them, they will cancel this project.
Yeah. Yeah. Steven and I were joking beforehand that the only thing that could make this worse is if they brought M. Night Shyamalan onto the project in some way, shape, or form. That would completely ruin it. Yeah. That would be
we've been looking to the volcanoes to erupt for 2020's last insult, but it's actually M. Night Shyamalan that's going to get the last word.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, man.
Well, speaking of the last word, let's jump in to the Epic versus Apple lawsuit that is happening right now. This has just been the wildest thing I feel like I've seen in gaming in a long time. So I'm gonna run through what's happened. But before I even do that, I do want to give some context to what's been going on, because we actually had a story last week that we cut for time's sake, which we were still very long last week. But it was about Xbox had been working on Project xCloud, which had been in beta on iPhones and Androids. And then last week, they announced that it was going to be coming out, launching exclusively on Android. And when people were like, what's up with what? Why? What's the deal? It came out that Apple was just basically restricting the service, that basically they wanted to have more control. They wanted to have more control over all the games, and they wanted to be able to, I guess, proof all the games that were going to be on that service, and that just was kind of an impossible task. But also, Apple charges a 30% cut from any app developer, and with this being some, people who are developing for xCloud or just Xbox in general, they're already getting a cut from Xbox, and then if there was another cut to Apple, it's just a lot of restrictions. Xbox just said we're not going to do it and went their separate way. So I set that up because I do think that holds a little bit of context for what is happening, and we'll talk about that here. So I'm just going to kind of read through what has happened over the last week, and now that I'm sitting here, I feel like I saved another article that I wanted to pull from, but basically here's what happened. With that context in mind, here we go. So on August, I'm trying to see what date they actually did this. I guess it was Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. Sorry, hang on. Okay, no. All right. Epic Games. I don't like this article. I need to find the one that I had. Steven, you know that Seven Dwarfs game you were talking about?
Yeah.
This would be a great time to fill me in on that while I find this other article that I emailed.
I'm just gonna read till you stop me. Okay.
All right.
This is from what's his name? Former Obsidian producer Kevin Saunders was asked about dwarfs on his Formspring. This wasn't a happy-go-lucky Disney game. Disney's Buena Vista games wanted dark, and I gave them dark. In the opening sequence, for example, you, as a teenage prince, awaken in your bed to haunting sounds. Exploring the dark castle, you come across a terrifying, shadowy creature that you kill in a desperate struggle, its cries shifting from a supernatural shriek to that of a human woman's blood-curdling cry of death. The illusion is then dispelled, and your mother, the queen, lays dead before you, the bloody knife that killed her in your hand. This wasn't cinematic. It was all gameplay that you'd actually play out. For the creative lead, I hired Brian Mitsoda of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline fame. Oh, he's now working on his creation, Dead State, which looks very promising. It's okay. I've played Dead State. This is an old article, like 8 years old. He took the skeletal story I had written and was developing it to a true masterpiece. That's also when Obsidian hired Josh Sawyer, and he was the system/combat lead for the project. He's an awesome designer and project lead, and you can only imagine what he comes up with when focused on a specific component. His combat system combined action gameplay with RPG depth in some very innovative ways. And Brian Menz's concepts for the dwarfs, just amazing. So much personality and character, reminiscent of Disney's classic characters, but weathered by the grim realities of a dark fantasy world. Working on the story and character descriptions in an office with Brian, watching his creations unfold, this was one of the most creative and inspiring times in my career as a designer. So I have a lot of good memories about the project. And our producers at Buena Vista Games were so great to work with. They gave us good guidelines, a lot of creative freedom, and loved the direction we were heading.
That is terrifying.
Yeah.
But thank you. That was the time I needed. So I'm going to paraphrase a little bit as I go through this article. I'm just looking at bullet points because I'm getting lost in a lot of other details that they're throwing in here that I don't know why they're talking about it. But anyway, basically, Fortnite this week launched a new payment plan option across their mobile devices, and I'm pretty sure on consoles as well.
The discount was across consoles. The payment plan option was only mobile.
Thank you for that explanation. So, did this on mobile. Basically, what it said, and I really know the context for Apple best, so I'll stick with that. But this was also on Google Play as well. Basically, it gave the option of if you're buying V-Bucks, which is the currency in Fortnite, you can buy a bundle of V-Bucks for $10 if you're paying directly to Apple or Google Play, or $7.99 and just pay directly to Epic. Well, why would anyone pay the more expensive one unless you just? Well, I don't know. I don't understand why.
You have it backwards. The $10, $9.99 was paying through the app, and then $7.99 was direct pay to Epic.
I thought that's what I just said, but yes, that is what I mean.
Yeah, I think you said it the other way. Sorry, continue.
Okay. Anyway, you were paying more if you paid Apple. you were paying less if you paid Epic.
Yes.
Epic did that, and as retaliation, Apple took Fortnite down because that violates their policies. There was no communication beforehand to get that payment plan approved or anything like that, which obviously would have been turned down. Very shortly after that, Fortnite releases a short, an ad video that's basically parodying Apple's iconic 1984 ad, which
that ad's been ironic for decades.
Yeah.
Or well, like at least a decade and a half.
It's very dystopian. It evokes basically what Apple was trying to say in that was that they were going to launch the Macintosh and it was going to change the world, and it was going to I want to say it was IBC who currently had kind of a monopoly on computers at the time. They were basically going to break that and do that. So anyway, Epic releases that video in Fortnite, but then obviously it went viral everywhere else.
Yeah, you notice how that video came out like a very short time after the lawsuit was
within
announced.
hours. Within hours.
They had that in the chamber. They had that in the chamber. They were ready.
Yeah. We'll get to that. So that came out immediately. It basically is a parody of that same commercial. I'm sure you can find a side by side comparison. I still get chills watching both. But basically, Fortnite says. Apple has taken down Fortnite. They have a monopoly. And then they have the hashtag free Fortnite, right? And so they have this whole campaign ready to go, and they put a lawsuit against Apple. And the lawsuit is basically, it's about antitrust, and it's basically saying that Apple is wrongfully using their monopoly on the mobile market. And it talks a lot about how, basically there's a lot of they talk a lot about how if you sorry, someone just called me and it took away my article. They talked a lot about if you want to make an app and you want it to be mobile, really the only way it can be successful on an iPhone, or really just the only way you could have it on the iPhone, is to go through the Apple Store. And so they basically call for injustice on that. This also happened with Google Play as well. Google Play has taken Fortnite out of its system. The difference here is that with Google and other Android phones, you can download third-party apps. You don't have to go through the Google Play Store, which is it's not as big of a deal. And it's really the focus has been on Apple. But just to bring some context, that Google is also doing this issue. And as far as I know, I'm just scrolling to make sure that's kind of where we're at right now. There is a lawsuit in play. There's a lot of hot topic going on about free Fortnite, all this and that. So let's talk about this, Stephen. I know I told you I was going to go first, but why don't you give me your thoughts on what is all this? What does it mean?
It means to me, and this is me putting my tinfoil hat on. I have to do this, otherwise people will still tell me I'm crazy, but at least I warned them ahead of time. Basically, this means that Epic saw an opportunity to get a lot of PR they need right now. They don't need PR because they're a villain. They need PR because it's integral to their next phase of their company, which is trying to be the new Steam / not Apple or Google Play, but they're trying to move their model towards being the company that sells software and makes a profit, but doesn't have to actually make software. And to do that, you need a lot of PR because you need to look like you are a pro developer. You need to be more appealing. It's that whole thing about like when trying to outrun a bear, you don't need to be faster than the bear. You just need to be faster than the guy you need to be faster than one other person. Epic is trying to be more generous than the most appealing so that they can pick up those games. And then as they build business over time, and I know this has to do with the Epic store specifically and their competition with Steam, but what their strategy and how they're doing this with the mobile market it is too similar to Epic Games Store on PC to where I feel like they are one and the same,
right.
or at least they're connected in some way.
Right.
Because Epic comes along and they say 30% is way too much for Valve to get from all these sales, so we're going to make it 12%. That is their plan for now because they're building clientele. They're making a very palatable offer for anyone to come over to them, and they are weakening the enemy. As they get strength, they will push those percentages up because they will claim for the need of more manpower or servers or cost and all that kind of stuff. So they will slowly generate more money, and then they'll probably land on 20%, which is not that much more appealing than Steam, if you think about it. But with the mobile market thing, my big questions, but just some overhead thoughts. They are, a lot of people are saying they are doing this specifically to attack Apple, specifically to make a statement about Apple and how they've got a monopoly. And this is in response to all the xCloud stuff. But it's interesting to me. Did you know that Epic started making more money on mobile transactions for V-Bucks the day this started than they were making before this all started? Because think about it. The Apple and Google got 30%. They discounted V-Bucks by 20%, which means Epic was making 70. Now they are making what would have been 80. Which, okay, if you're going to make an actual statement, then why are you still trying to turn a profit? Like if you really intend, like if your goal is to remove a monopoly, then why are you half-assing?
Well, but that didn't last very long, did it? I mean, because it wasn't very long that policy was allowed, and once it was removed, no one could purchase things in Fortnite. Are you just saying that they did so the argument is that Apple takes 30%. So why in their statement did they only show a 20% profit difference?
My understanding, just because they removed and this is confirmed, you can still play Fortnite on mobile.
Yes, you can.
You just can't download it,
and you can't get the update. And I could be wrong, but I think with the update, it will brick. You won't be able to play it again, but I could be wrong.
But my understanding is that because they implemented this in-game purchase, like direct purchase option, I could be wrong on this. My understanding, you can still get V-Bucks on mobile playing this game because you're buying directly from Epic, right?
That is a great question. I don't know. I would think So if
I'm not speaking on authority.
I have no idea.
I'm not speaking with authority here. I'm just saying that like these are thoughts that I had. And the fact that they discounted 20%, but the evil that they're fighting is 30. Why didn't they discount?
So
30?
let me wade in. I personally think that's just. I agree with you. It's a detail that I really hate that someone missed, because it does make it look cynical. But I don't think it was intended that way. So to wade in,
and that is why I feel this way about Epic, because everything they do feels like they're shaking your hand while they have a knife behind their back, ready to go.
So to wade in, number one, both of these companies make a ridiculous amount of money. And both of them can stand to lose money if their partnership fizzles. You know what I mean? Like in the grand scheme of things, this doesn't matter for either company. They will both go on making millions or billions of dollars, period. So what I tend to be more optimistic in general anyway. But the way I see this is very much how I saw Steam, what they did with the Steam and the Epic Game Store. When they did that, what it was about was, yes, I forget what Steam had just announced, like hey, we're going to give developers we're only going to take a 27% cut. We're going to drop it. And if you sell like 2 million copies, we'll drop it even more. And then Epic launched their store and was like 12%, boom. Like that's all we're going to take. And the whole idea was this is going to help developers make money so that they can keep making the games that we all love and want, whatever. I still view this as the same thing of Epic is trying to break a system that I think is probably needed to be broken. And especially when we look at Apple, because the more I think about it, the most ridiculous thing about Apple is that what I'm upset about is how restrictive they are. So I brought up the xCloud thing, and I don't know that Epic saw that story and was just like, hey guys, let's get this together, because it was a week. Like, I feel like Epic had probably been building to this and it just all kind of happened at the same time. But I do think it's relevant because that's a prime example of Apple being restrictive, and it seems very frustrating and stupid, honestly, that they're being that restrictive about xCloud. I lost where I was going, but I see this as Fortnite is a company that, as I've already said, is making billions of dollars, and they can afford to fight this and to try and break this system down, and to try and break that monopoly. I totally understand what you're saying too, of sure, they break it now, but who's to say they're not breaking it just so that they can turn around and build it back up again, but with them on top. And while I understand that, I don't know that it works that simply. That because this is something that I'm dealing with on a day-to-day basis in the video industry. We call it a race to the bottom, is what we kind of talk about it. Basically, with video stuff, I went to college. I got a degree in filmmaking and broadcasting, and that's what I do for a living. And I've got about 6 or 7 years of experience, and that's all good and great. And I tend to think I do pretty good work. But I charge a certain amount if you want a wedding video or if you want something else. But you could find a high school kid off the street who has a camera, and he'll take $100 because he's just trying to do something. You know what I mean? And so eventually, to compete with the kid who doesn't know anything, I have to lower my price to seem more reasonable. So to some degree, this race to the bottom isn't really good for anybody. Like, at some point, somebody just has to say, nope, this is the price I'm doing. You can pay it or not, And obviously, people can recognize quality, and there's all this different stuff that goes on. But I don't know that they're breaking it down just to build it back up with them on top. I really do think they are breaking it down so that it can open doors for a lot of other people who can't afford to fight this. Like, I can't tell you, this is probably, the article, I read some articles this week about how other mobile developers have been so upset with Apple's system and how it's so restrictive, and how they have to do these, they take 30%. But literally, like, if you want to break into the mobile market, like, you've got to be on Apple, or rather, you've got to be on iPhone. And to get on iPhone, you have to go through the Apple Store. And so I don't know what the semantics of how that would work if we suddenly could download third-party apps on the iPhone. I don't know if that's what we're really driving for, but I don't know.
So are you aware that Epic already has an app on third party I've got access to it on my Galaxy phone.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. There is an Epic Games app, not Fortnite, but you can download Fortnite through the Epic Games app.
Yes. That doesn't work on iPhone.
Right. Clearly, like, the bigger complication is iPhone, and clearly as well, this was a thing that was fought over for a while. That's why Fortnite took such a long time to get over to Google Play devices. But it's not as effective to bypass the Google Play Store, but it's totally something that can be done. If iPhone is the enemy, why did they do a broad sweep on mobile devices for this policy? Also, to that point, why are they not trying to combat the 30% that Microsoft makes and probably Sony?
I don't know why they're not going after consoles.
Microsoft makes 30%.
Oh yeah,
I checked.
So does Sony. Sony does the same thing.
Okay,
and you're right. I don't know why that. And I've seen memes saying Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and it's like them sweating right now because it's like they've got to be next, right? They're the next competition, if you want to say, of why are you doing this? I don't know anything, so whatever. This is just I've listened to a lot of stuff. I know there are arguments for why that's not the case. I don't know the full details of them. There is some semantics of how that all works, and it's not quite the same as this mobile situation. But to back up to what you were also saying, I don't know that it's only Apple is the enemy. I think they are also frustrated with the Google Play Store. The difference, though, is that on Android and other Google or whatever non-Apple mobile devices, you can download an app from a website. You can go to Fortnite.com and download probably the app you're talking about and do whatever you want. You can get the Steam app and do whatever you want. But with iPhone, you have to go through the Apple Store.
Right. And that's why I'm confused, because obviously iPhone is more of a problem for app creators. We know that I love Android devices. I've never been team Apple for pretty much anything. I do not like Apple as a company. I love Android devices for that very reason, to where it's just not restrictive. You can download third-party apps, all that stuff. So can you really say that Google has a monopoly?
I don't.
Not really,
no,
because
that is not the argument. They are not saying that Google is a monopoly. They are very. I view the Google Play thing very much as Steam, which I guess they technically had a monopoly as well. But maybe that's not a good example. Then I view Google as it just kind of got swept up. You know what I mean? Like,
right, and that's to me, like, the fact that Google was involved in this situation is what makes me feel like this was not targeted at like, this is not about making change for Apple. This, to me, to me, and I know, again, tinfoil hat is on, and I totally acknowledge, like, there's probably a crucial detail that I'm just not thinking about, but like, my first reaction was, this seems like a PR stunt, because Fortnite, I don't know how it's doing in numbers, but I definitely know that from like word of mouth, Fortnite is a dying game. It's not cool anymore. People are leaving it. They just don't really seem to care about it. Epic Games does not have anything else that really makes them money, especially not that kind of money, than Fortnite. So what do you do to the entity that is dying? You make a martyr of it, in a sense. You either try to give it a second wind by making it the champion of some sort of people group, while honestly not really paying anything in the process. Because if there was one like video game demographic that you would say, let's make something happen here to where it's going to cost us a little bit to where people can no longer download it, but if they've got it already, they're fine and they can keep playing it. The game playing demographic, whatever, if you will, that's mobile gamers. People uninstall and reinstall games on console all the time. So if they were to take a shot at console, and this is not even looking at like where most V-Bucks are sold, I doubt it's mobile, but then again, a lot of kids get their parents' credit cards and just go to town on their iPhone, you know, but basically they said, let's hurt the least by going after these mobile platforms, because so many people just download it and forget it. There are a bunch of people who probably had Fortnite on their phone and then saw this story and they were just like, oh yeah, I have this downloaded. well, it's rare now. I might as well play it. Oh, look, V-Bucks are discounted. I might as well buy some V-Bucks. Wow, Fortnite was a lot of fun, you know? And so there's that. There's that reason to reinvigorate Fortnite. But the second reason, to me, well, really the primary reason would be PR, because they're trying to be pro-developer. They're trying to make themselves be perceived as pro-developer. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were trying to elevate towards that, hey, we make an app store now. Something, and I have no idea how complicated that is. Obviously, on Android, it's not that complicated.
Right. Because it can already be done.
What you need, it can already be done. And what they needed to generate that kind of visibility would be, you know, I don't know, a story of them taking it to the, like, you know, taking it to the big man, you know, trying to slay the dragon that is Apple. If you turn Fortnite into a movement, if you turn Epic Games, oh, this is what we're doing and we're pro-developer, all that kind of stuff, into a movement, then people will suddenly start seeking out the Epic app a lot more. Right. And then suddenly you've got a large user base, and then you've created another monster that you can exploit with partnerships. Right. I don't know what the solution would be on Apple, but I would not be surprised if it ended up with, they came to an agreement where Epic had their own like app hub on Apple somehow. I don't know. That's where I don't have the answers, but honestly, one of two things is going to happen in this scenario in my eyes. One is the worst case scenario. Worst case scenario is negotiations don't fall through, but they don't really change. They're just like, we're keeping our 30%. Both parties are, and Epic's like, well, we tried. I guess they'll just have to put us back on the App Store, huh? Guys, we tried. We really tried our best, but you know. And then suddenly everybody's like, you did try your best. Bravo, Epic. Way to go. Hey, did you guys hear about how Epic tried to take out the big corporations? Wow, what heroes. And suddenly they've got the PR of the guys who, they were the underdog. They tried to take on the big corporation and they lost, but hey, they tried. Best case scenario, negotiations work. They get more of a cut from mobile purchases, or they open the door for all these other people and they are hailed as the hero of the little guy, the small developer. And then they start to target those small developers to create product for them, as well as building the PR of the guy that took on the dragon and won. It's all about market manipulation in more ways than just manipulating product. It's manipulating the people and the way they perceive. And Epic's good at that. And I hate them for it.
So to summarize, because you brought a lot of points there, to go back to Google Play, I don't disagree with anything you just said. I do think they are using this as a PR stunt, kind of like you said. But I do think there is a hint of genuine, we want to create change, we want to help other people, but they very much are helping themselves. And I am not disagreeing with that, but they are helping other people and going to help other developers. And I honestly think what they're doing is good. How they're doing it or why they're doing it is probably not. Breaking down this monopoly,
and that's why
breaking down this monopoly is gonna be a good thing. Especially for the smaller developers. And I think ultimately for consumers, because I am not an Xbox guy. If this somehow, you mentioned like, what's the best case scenario? Best case scenario to me would be that Apple somehow allows third-party developers to have their own app or something. Because and that would suddenly
that's allow, exactly what they want.
That it's something where which it would probably allow them to have an Epic Store app that you can download from Fortnite.com and do whatever you want to do with it. Right. But it would hopefully also add the option of xCloud, and now xCloud can exist and be a thing. I don't know,
and I think that is their ultimate goal. I agree with that because I think that ultimately they want to build more of those platforms where they can leech off of people who actually make apps and games. Right. Like that's kind of their goal right now. And that matches up along with making them the hero of xCloud on iPhone.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you. It is all PR and it is all marketing for them, but what they're doing is good. The most heinous thing I think for me is that they're using, I watched that trailer that they put out and it does give me goosebumps. It gets me hyped. And I know it's doing that for a lot of younger people too. And God, what they're going to do, you know what I mean? Like, and it's just stupid that they're weaponizing their player base and stuff like that. And I kind of hate that.
Exactly. Cause
it's stupid
they
because
played this whole situation.
Ultimately, we don't really have any say in anything. Like we can all get all upset and on Twitter and everything, and we can do whatever. The amount of money these companies make is mind-boggling. And so they care what we think, but also in a few months, if it comes out that nothing changes, like nothing's really going to happen. Like I'm still going to buy the next iPhone. Yep. You're still going to buy the next Android. Like I don't. So
it comes in Friday.
Yeah. Yeah.
My new phone. Yeah, it's supposed to. I'm excited.
That's exciting. That is exciting.
But just in conclusion from my end, like two things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing about what you said, that was a good point about how like
I am occasionally full of good points.
Yeah, I'm full of points. I don't know. I don't know what else I can say, but I've got a lot to say, I don't have
a lot of points, but I'm kind of flabby, but
boy, if you're looking for quantity and quality is in question, I'm your guy when it comes to points.
Sorry, go ahead.
But regarding what you said about like, they sent that trailer out, they sent it so quick and they got people fired up. How quick they sent that trailer out there. Mm-hmm. And how much they manipulated. Mm-hmm. And this is why I don't like Epic, because you are their pawns. They sent you in first. They sent the pawns in, which are the people, not to say, oh, you're a pawn, you're getting played, but you are kind of getting played. Mm-hmm. So maybe you are, but basically they moved their expendable pieces first, their expendable pieces being the people they could easily manipulate in the market to be like, oh, look at Apple. Look at how mean they are. Boo. Go spend money on V-Bucks. Help us out. Like we're the hero. All that kind of stuff. It's manipulative. Mm-hmm. They are such a snake in the grass with some of these things. Like they're acting with such self-righteous, like they're acting like they're being so self-righteous, but really they are in it for themselves ultimately. And of course, companies are about money, but there is a difference. Like when change is attempted to be made, I'm totally cool with change, but it's like with politicians. They could sing a beautiful song, like they could say, this is what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. This is what we want. We want change, all that kind of stuff. But with politicians, like with certain ones, you just know when you're being fed a load. Mm-hmm. And that's how it feels with them. Because ultimately, if that politician gets in office,
nothing changes.
More often than not, nothing changes, or they just become the very thing they were fighting. Mm-hmm. And that's how I feel about Epic. I don't feel like they are trying to tear down the system. I feel like they're trying to overthrow it. This is not destruction. This is seizing. They want to be at the top of the castle, and they will do and say what they need to get there. That's just the impression I get of them right now.
Right.
And so that's why I think it'd be fantastic if xCloud and could end up on iPhone, and if smaller app developers were able to make more money. Mm-hmm. But I'm uneasy about it.
At what cost?
Because at what cost? What is this going to end up meaning? And also, I don't like being played.
Right.
I'm one of those people that, like, if I feel like I'm being played, if I feel like you are lying to me, then it's on. That is one of my big pet peeves, is being lied to.
Yeah.
And I feel like Epic is lying to everyone. And so I have a hard time seeing the silver lining, because all I really see is someone thinking that I'm too stupid to see through their bullshit.
Right. Well, we will have to,
that's just me.
We will have to wait to find out how this goes. I hope something changes. I like change. I like when things get ruffled up a bit.
I am resistant to change, Jake.
I know you are.
I hate it.
I am excited to see where this goes, but we'll have to wait. So while we wait, let's catch up a little bit, Steven. I have not had any time this week to play very many games. I'm currently building a deck in my backyard. I've been, a few weeks ago, or when COVID all happened, I was like pressure washing my existing deck and I was staining it. Now we're building like a fire pit deck in the backyard. And so I've been doing a lot of work on that this week. And then I shot a wedding Friday and I shot a wedding Saturday. So I have not had any time for games. You listed a bunch of stuff. We got to get to that haircut reveal. So this is a Steven-led catch-up.
All right.
I am yours.
All right.
Take me on a ride.
I'm gonna take off the hat first.
Haircut
if you
reveal.
got here so here. So let me explain context for the haircut. I got so tired of having long hair. This actually happened last week right after we recorded podcast.
Oh my gosh.
So I went over to my parents' house and I said to my sister Laura, because she had been cutting my hair for a while. I said she's good. She's good at everything.
Yeah.
She's so freaking smart. She's just good at everything. But I was like, hey, you want to shave my head? And she was like, what? And I was like, okay. If you want to cut my hair, that'd be great. Like, no wrong answers. Just as long as the answer includes shorter than it was when we started. And she was like, okay. So this is where she stopped. So this is my hair currently. I don't hate it as much looking at it in the camera, but I have been called Old Steven 3 times now. 3 different people. Old Steven being, oh, hey, 12-year-old Steven. I don't like 12-year-old Steven. Personally, he sucked. But my hair apparently looks like that again. So here you go. Also, if you were paying attention earlier, you probably already saw this haircut because I pulled my hat off real quick to scratch. And then I was like, oh yeah, I'm hiding this.
I got to do a haircut really.
So yeah,
I'm just going to say
as far as what I
can't see you, but I like it.
Thanks. Your fake compliments mean about as much to me as people telling me that I look like 12-year-old Steven.
You should have sent me a
again.
photo because now I really don't know how to react. When you said shaved for a second, and people will have seen this in the playback, I was like mouth agape. I was like, is he shaved right now?
That's kind of why I didn't send you a picture, because I wanted that. So I'm glad that you did.
Well, yeah.
Let me tell you, we're not getting into the games just yet. Okay. So in an episode of Friends, I'm just full of Friends quotes now because I just finished watching through it.
Take a shot if Steven mentions his friends.
There's an episode. Yeah, that's true. Take a shot. There's an episode when Ross has like a mole on his butt, like a growth, and he doesn't know what it is, and he's scared. So he goes to the doctor to like get them to remove it because he claims it's a third nipple. And the doctor's like, that's not a third nipple. And he's like, what? Are you sure? And he went, yeah, for one, it's on your butt. But he keeps trying to identify what it is, but he keeps like calling it other doctors. And he's like, hey, come in here. You like weird stuff. And so by like 2 scenes later, when it cuts back to Ross, it's Ross bent over like a medical chair and like 20 doctors just behind him looking at his butt, trying to figure out what this mole is. That's what, okay, to clarify, the aspect of everyone showed up in the room, that's what happened when I went to get my hair cut. Because it was just me and Laura and Anna, because she came with me, and I was just like, just shave it. I just shave it. And then my mom came in there and was just like, well, if you're going to shave it, you need to use this blade right there. And then 2 of the sisters came in. They were like, oh, hey. And then they started adding their piece. And then my dad came in there. It was a whole thing. I just wanted to get my hair cut, and they turned it into just a party. And it was like, I was this close. I grabbed the razor with no blade on it, and I put it to my head, and I was like, I'll do it. I will do it. I swear. I almost went up the middle, point of no return. This is me now.
I love how getting a haircut somehow turned into a hostage situation with you against yourself. Like, I really don't know how that turned out. Wow.
Man, things with my family are wild. It's crazy. But as far as what I've been playing,
yes.
I'm looking through my list just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Avengers beta, I'll start there.
Yep.
The second Avengers beta, it was this weekend.
This was open.
I still feel good about it.
Xbox folks and PS4, or was it?
This was open for PS4, closed for everyone else.
Cool.
Next week will be open for everyone.
Gotcha.
For everyone. Or this coming weekend.
Yeah.
So there were more bugs this time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the game, for the most part, played a little better.
Mm-hmm.
They did resolve some bugs, which is interesting in a beta for them to do that quick of a turnaround to where they're just like, hey, we fixed these issues. Try again next weekend. But there were a couple issues. One is resolved now, thankfully, it seems, where every so often it would give you a prompt that said no internet connection detected and complain about your Ethernet cable. And you'd have to press X to clear it.
Mm-hmm.
So you could be in the middle of combat, but it doesn't pause the game. So like I could be up in the air with Iron Man locking all my missiles, and then it'll just pop up, and then my missiles will fire, and I'm like, no, I was almost at 5 locked. Yeah, this is just annoying.
That's annoying.
Maybe it does pause the game, but it like makes to where you can't keep holding the trigger. So like if you were locking missiles, for example, yeah. But then a really big bug happened that I need to figure out who to talk to. Like they need to be made aware of this, because I played a little bit on Friday. It was fine.
Mm-hmm.
My Iron Man was fine. All of his gear, everything transferred. I got on Saturday with Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Austin. And my Iron Man went from level 15 gear score 34 to level 3 gear score 8.
Mm.
And I went, well, that's wrong. What happened? And I looked. He had Kamala Khan's basic equipment equipped.
Could you change it?
Like I could, but I didn't have any of his, like, it's like his inventory completely changed. Like Iron Man's inventory
became
Thanos
Kamala's.
Snapped out of existence. Like, yeah, it got overridden by Kamala's, but it wasn't my Kamala's inventory. It was
just basic,
like
Kamala.
what you start the game. Yeah, basic Kamala. And I say Kamala because, like, you know, his arc reactor inventory item is her lightning bolt inventory item, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He had her lightning bolt equipped. Like all of her pieces were Kamala pieces. So, for example, my range rating went from 475 to 132.
Yeah. That's so bizarre.
Yeah. But I started playing just because it was like, you know what? I hate this right now, but I'm playing with Austin. He hadn't played co-op yet. We had a good time. I was able to pick up Iron Man equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So it literally just hard reset my character. But my character level was reading as 3, but I still had my skill tree unlocked as it had been at level 15.
Huh.
So it's just a mess. Like that's something that if that's in the final product, that's going to screw over somebody or a lot of people in a huge way.
Yeah.
Like there's no coming back from that.
Yeah. That's surely they've been made aware of that, unless you're like
I have not seen
anything
mentioned on the Reddit.
You should probably
I use Reddit.
You should probably at least tweet
for
them or something to see if they can give us like a support something that we can fill out a more detailed explanation. But
yeah, if you could help me find like who to tweet at to make sure they see it, because I don't know if there's like a help hashtag or something, but I definitely, because I took 2 pictures.
Yeah.
I took a picture of my nameplate with my skill tree under it so they could see that I was level 3, but I had all that crap unlocked. And then I took a picture of my inventory screen showing that I very clearly had Kamala's stuff equipped and that my inventory was blanked. So that was weird. But oh well. I'm hoping they fix it, but I'm going to do my best to try to get it fixed, try to make sure that they're aware of it. I've also been playing. Are we done with Avengers? Did you have questions or anything?
No, so what had anything changed? Obviously there were a lot more issues. I mean, you and I had a pretty issue-less beta for the most part. Was there anything new that they added that you notice?
No different content. Although there is a secret mission that we did not play.
Yes, I heard about that. Yeah.
So I've played it, and you can actually unlock it multiple times. Very good for getting loot. It's that Tundra mission that you play as Kamala and Hulk. It is that mission, but it's like fully open to where you can play as any of the heroes, and you still go in the vault and stuff. A ton of loot to get from that mission, but it was pretty cool. And I like how you had to do certain things to unlock certain missions. I thought that was a cool feature, so we'll probably see more of that in in-game.
Gotcha.
But I'm really hoping that this final open beta next weekend is going to give us the full roster. Like, it's going to unlock Cap and Thor, not unlock the full skill trees, but just unlock Cap and Thor so we can get their basic skill trees and just play as them. That would be fantastic. I don't think it'll happen, but if it did, I think that that's something they need to do, because they're facing against a lot of bad PR right now, like a lot of bad image.
See, I feel like they probably don't. You're suggesting that they open up the skill trees, right? That's what you're suggesting?
Not open up the skill trees, just add Cap and Thor to the capacity that we have Iron Man and everybody else.
Yeah. See, I think I'm wondering if the reason they haven't done that is because they're afraid that it would be more bad PR than good PR. Because if they don't do it, like, we might be like, oh man, I wish they had done it, but we're not going to just like rail against it because they never told us they were going to be in it. They told us specifically that they weren't going to be in it. I was so excited that we got to play that first mission and got to even get a taste. But I don't know. But on the flip side, you're right. If they're dealing with some bad PR, they could put it out, and if it goes well, it could excite people. But I feel like at this point it's a risk.
Well, with Captain America, I feel like it's not a risk because everyone loved what they played of Captain America. And one person somehow glitched the game to where he got to play Captain America in a mission.
Did he actually get to play as him, or was he just registering all of his gear? Like, because I've seen the screenshots of like costumes that he got into, but I haven't seen like gameplay.
He was playing. I watched the video. He was playing as Captain America, and I hate this guy because he did not stop and hover over the skill trees whatsoever. Like, he hovered over them, did not, like, he went to the skills menu, didn't look at any of the skills. So we didn't get to see what any of Captain America's skills were. But I watched. He played as Cap.
Wow. Lucky bastard.
And he looked great.
Yeah.
He can double jump, which might explain how he can traverse. I don't know. I think I saw him double jump anyway. But yeah, I just think that would help them a lot to be like, here's the other two heroes who get to play in limited capacity for these 3 days. Open beta. If you want to play again, buy the full game. Because there are some people who are probably thinking, like, I feel like Thor is going to be one of the most popular characters, pretty handily. And for them to not let us play Thor, like, but except for that first little bit, it just seems like they're not teasing us enough.
Yeah.
We need a little bit more.
I would certainly love it because those are the two characters I want to play. So.
Right. So in addition to Avengers, unless if there was more,
I couldn't find a Marvel's beta help or support Twitter. So we'll have to do some better research on that.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I've been playing Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire. I got it for like $12. Obsidian RPG, basically. But what drew me to this one, Pillars of Eternity is normally a top-down real-time strategy RPG. Like, you play as a team of heroes, but you give all their commands out in real time, so you can like pause the game, queue up commands, and then watch what happens. I can't do it. Like, I don't know why, and maybe I just need to try again, but it just felt weird to me. And maybe it's just because I didn't get very far in the first one. But what drew me to to Deadfire, they added a free turn-based version patch.
Interesting.
So you can play that game, but instead of real-time strategy, it's turn-based tactical, which is my bread and butter. So I've been playing through that, and there are some mechanics where I'm like super confused, like guns and crossbows have to reload. So in the real-time version, that happens in real time. So if you're a chanter, for example, which let me stop and talk for a second. The chanter may be one of my favorite takes on magic ever, because the chanter is a class that think Bard meets Dragon Speak, to where it's the purpose of a Bard to where you do in a radius team buffing or alternate effects, but it's done through words of power spoken in chorus, kind of.
Interesting.
To where like you've got one spell, for example, because you're always chanting. So like battle will begin. My character is a chanter. Battle begins with my guy saying in an echoey voice like some ancient speak phrase that is his first phrase. And so his turn, he's got like a book. So each turn he's speaking a different phrase, and phrases can have linger. So if I alternate between two, for example, the first phrase lingers for one extra turn, and then the second one also lingers for one extra turn. So I'm basically having those two buffs active at once. And as I'm doing phrases, I'm building up the ability to use like a consumable resource to cast a spell. Like one of them could be that I summon a specter from beyond the veil or whatever, or I could do like a lightning strike or something like that. So it's a bit of a summoner. It's a lot of team buffing, and it's a little bit of like crowd control. And it's such a cool concept. And I dual classed to where I am a chanter ranger. So my class is what's called a wild rhymer. But you can also do specializations for each class. So I'm a multi-class with 2 specializations. So I'm a troubadour chanter. So my linger lasts longer, I believe. So all of my phrases have a longer duration, like lasting effect. But also I am a ghost heart ranger. So my pet companion is not actually there. I have a spirit bond with their ghost, so I can summon my wolf in combat every time. And if he dies, I don't mourn his death. Like I'm not affected by his death because he's always with me.
Interesting.
Super cool class design. And I say all of this because Avowed takes place in the Pillars of Eternity universe. And if I can be a chanter in Avowed, that Obsidian RPG that's coming out that people are saying is going to be the next Skyrim.
Yes.
Oh, man. I'm so excited for Avowed now. But as I was saying, in the real-time stuff, the chanter is a lot more deliberate, I guess, because they're actually going through the timing of their phrases. So at that end, it would be more advantageous for you for like whatever specialization makes it to where your phrases are quicker. Kind of, because then you're going through like every few seconds, you're doing a new buff. And also there's a buff that makes it to where everyone reloads faster if they have a ranged weapon. So that's why chanters are a good combo with crossbows and rifles or pistols. But in turn-based, I don't know what that means because real time isn't there. So I'm still trying to figure out the nuance with it, but I've been super impressed with the game just from a class design standpoint. And also they take an XCOM approach to additional characters because you have a cast of characters that you can play the game with, or you can go up to a tavern and be like, hey, I'd like to hire a mercenary, and you get to do character creation again.
Oh, that's cool.
And just make whatever you want. So I've got a full party of 5 that are all creative characters. You're one of them. You're a wizard.
I'm a wizard.
I was going to make you an archer, but I'm a crossbowman that already stands in the back. And it was like, I don't have a wizard yet. Jake would be fine with being a wizard. So you're my wizard.
I am fine with being a wizard.
But magic's really cool too in this game because the lower your initiative, which doesn't really make sense. But the quicker you cast spells, so you could build up a fireball spell and you'll have to charge it. But in turn-based mode, that spell is queued up in the turn somewhere. So if you have lower initiative, your spell casts a lot quicker in the turn order. So the name of the game with mages is to make it to where they have very low initiative so they can incant a spell and then get it out immediately. And I guess in the real-time version, the name of the game is to try to keep people locked in combat with your tanks and have your mage in the back building up a spell or something like that. Very impressed with this game. I'm really loving it right now. It's just good. I'm just really impressed. Obsidian continues to like climb the ladder of developers that I love, and the Seven Dwarves information just made it even better.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Chortle Cast. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, there's a couple things you can do to help us out. Number one, if you're watching on YouTube, you're already at chortlegames.com. You can like this video, share it with your friends, leave us a comment, all that good stuff. We also put the podcast on our Facebook page, which is at Chortle Games. You can also search at Chortle Games on Twitter, which is where you'll find us when we live stream along with Facebook and YouTube, and Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Chortle_games. Those are all the places you can keep up with us. And the podcast airs every Monday at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. But we do live streams throughout the rest of the week. We normally live stream on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. So be sure to look out for us throughout the week. If you want to keep up with us outside of that, though, you can join our Discord, which you can find in the description of this video or podcast. And join that, talk to us, show us your art. We've got a coloring book channel. We've got places where you can vote on what we're live streaming. So lots of fun stuff. Steven, thank you for watching. Is there anything else we need to discuss before we go? We had kind of mentioned forward compatible. We're working on the review, so that's coming. It'll probably be the end of this month before that review gets out, but it is coming. Yeah,
I've been juggling a lot of things. I'm going on vacation in a week, so I'm trying to get all my ducks in a row before I go on vacation, but also it's like, I probably should have this review done before I go on vacation. So I'm in the middle of the script right now.
And when he says
Kaylin's
done,
helping me.
When he says done, he means his part, because once I have all the pieces, I got to put it together. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I'm still in the middle of the script. I finally made headway this week. Because with me, it's like getting started is the worst part.
Getting started
I just
is
need
always
a
the
good
worst part.
Yeah. I just need to start, and then like, and then I'm good. Kaylin's been helping with timestamps, so that's gonna cut back on
a lot of that time as well.
A lot of needed effort, which I don't have the time for. But yeah, I feel pretty good about the review because I know what I want to say. It's just, and I feel like I say that take a shot every single time Steven complains about not knowing how to say what he wants to say. But with this one, it's like, it is truly trying to figure out like the ways to say it, because like the games that people don't remember fondly, like the controversial games, are always the hardest, because it's like people have already made up their mind. And so it's trying to figure out how to say it in a way to where you're not trying to tell them that they're wrong, but present it as a perspective that they just hadn't considered.
Right.
And that's difficult.
Yep.
That's something.
It's something. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. This has been a great show. A lot of good discussion on here. So really appreciate you, Steven, as always. Your insight and pessimism that I don't have. So I really appreciate it.
A pessimist is what an optimist calls a realist.
There you go. That is mine and Steven's relationship right there. Just bundled up in a little phrase. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. We will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.